Here's a scene you could be seeing often this year. Congratulations to John Gruden. Why not? It is the preseason, but this team is 2-0, undefeated, and looking like a team that has to be given serious consideration when things start for real next month. And hello, everybody. I'm Barry Tompkins, along with Jim Plunkett and Artie Gigantino. One thing, Artie, that you have to look at, and this is cut-down eve. Tomorrow at this time, there'll be 21 players looking for a real job. You've been in those meetings. What's that like?
Well, first thing is the obvious players stay. Your starters are make the football team. But two considerations that coaches take into mind. Number one is the special teams. Who can help you on special teams? And number two is future development and consideration. Which players will develop into great NFL players, not maybe this year, in the future.
Plunk, one thing that John Gruden has made very clear, he said, I want my best players on the field at the same time. To that end, we could see some changes at the running back spot.
You're right about that, Barry. Last year, Napoleon Kaufman rushed for over 1,200 yards. The second leading rusher had only 120, but they need more diversity, more consistency in the backfield, and with Harvey Williams back from tight end to running back, they may be able to achieve that.
Yeah, I think they're going to probably play them both at the same time on occasion tonight. We'll look for that. Let's talk about Tampa Bay for a moment, Artie. This is a team that defensively is a monster. No question about that.
Well, you got to remember, Tony Dungy's a defensive coach. He built this franchise around defense. They had great statistics a year ago. In fact, when I think of their defense, I think of their game against the 49ers. It reminded me of a college defense flying around the football field.
Well, that's really Tony Dungy's style. The fact is, he says they're a big play defense that's been making too many big plays, or at least trying to. Warren Sapp and company will try to do better tonight. Welcome back to the Oakland Coliseum. Barry Tompkins, Jim Plunkett, Artie Gigantino, and John Gruden just about set to kick it off here. Raiders' third preseason game. They've been very impressive so far. That is allowing for the fact that preseason in the great scheme of things doesn't really mean a lot. But here's a guy who's trying to set a tone for his team, and I think he's been very successful at doing that. Davis will kick it off. He'll be kicking to Rydell Anthony. He'll be the deep man for Tampa Bay, and we're underway. And he drove this one pretty good. Anthony at the 1-yard line. To the 10. Got a little room. 15-20. 5 and out of bounds.
You know, Barry, a week ago, the Raiders had problems with the kickoff coverage, but part of it was not only coverage, but the kick.
Trent Dilfer, fifth-year quarterback out of Fresno State. You see his numbers from last year. Came on very strongly after the first couple of games last year. Got his confidence. Big guy, 6'4", 235. Great golfer, incidentally. He's not going to have to worry about what he does when he retires.
No, you and Plunkett can play golf with him, not me.
But one of the things he has done, as you mentioned, he's improved tremendously from just a few years ago. He had a little tough time starting in the NFL.
Mike Alstott getting his first start in the preseason. He's been out with a hip strain. Lines up in front of Warwick Dunn. This is Dunn. Not much. Got about a yard. Louis Riddick getting a start at safety. First man for the Raiders.
You know, I tell you one thing, and Louis Riddick is filling in for an injured Anthony Newman, but one of the things that I think has been the most remarkable from a year ago is the defense in stopping the run.
You're looking at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers starting lineup. As we said, I'll start with his first start. Davis, Emmanuel, and Anthony. They're going to see a lot of receivers. Tony Dungy's just done a marvelous job. He waited a long time for his opportunity, and he's really made it all work in Tampa. Out of the I formation again, a slot left this time. Dilfer gives to Dunn. Dunn gets a at the 30, first down, 35, 40 to the 42-yard line. Charles Woodson drags him down, but he's got some quicks, doesn't he?
He really does, and I'll tell you, he's an explosive player that means a lot to this offense.
Take a look at the Raiders defensively. Andre Bruce with a start tonight with Russell Maryland, Russell, and Lance Johnstone. That's the down line. Linebackers, as Holmberg is out, Folston, Beekert, and Morton. And the secondary with Charles Woodson getting his second start. And I think you can put that in ink. Riddick starts ahead of Newman, who will not play tonight. First down at the 43-yard line. Done again. This time nothing doing. Might have lost a yard. Lance Johnstone on a stop.
You know, Tampa was a to the NFL last year in rushing offense. They were anemic, however, in their passing offense. They were last, dead 30th in the National Football League in passing offense. But this guy, who was supposed to be only a third down back, Barry, has turned into one of the most exciting backs in the National Football League.
And a quality guy, too. We'll talk a little bit more about Warrick Dunn as we go along. Emmanuel goes to the far side, and Rydell Anthony to the near side. They bring the tight end Hape in motion. Second and long. Dilfer going up for the first time. Throws underneath. And the catch is made well short of the first down. Going to be a gain of about 5. Patrick Hape, the tight end, the receiver.
And that's where a lot of Trent Dilfer's improvement has come in dropping the ball off, not taking a chance of throwing the ball down the field and getting intercepted. Last year was the first year in his 5-year career that he had more touchdown passes than interceptions. So he's made quite an improvement in that area.
But you know, Plunk, what they have to do is get the home runs a little bit more.
Third down and 5. Split backs this time, Alstott and Dunn. They go to Alstott on the backfield a lot. Straight back Dilfer. Looking deep. And it is intercepted. I believe now they're going to say it is intercepted. Charles Woodson on the pick. And I'm sure the 40,000 or so fans who are in attendance tonight hope that's a sign of things to come.
Well, it is a sign of things to come. This guy's a great player, and one of the things about Charles Woodson is his wingspan. Coming out of college, the guy had unbelievable ball skills, but you see him turn and run with Carl Williams and go up and catch the ball. The ball was a little bit underthrown, but so what? He made a great defensive play.
Big-time play by a big-time player, and the Raiders go on offense for the first time at their own 11-yard line. Jeff George, who has been sensational thus far this year, with Williams and Kaufman. We talked about that combination. They bring Jet in motion to the side. Short drop this time, and the pass is caught by Jet, gain of a couple. Take a look at how the Raiders line up offensively. Harlow, Wisniewski, Robbins, Graham, and Kennedy along the offensive line. They've been doing an excellent job. Ritchie, who was not in the starting lineup at the first snap, with Kaufman, Dudley, Jet, and Brown. Ritchie is in the ball game now. So Ritchie at the fullback spot. Good look at Tim Brown. Expects to see considerable action. Here's a pitch this time to Kaufman. Had a little step. Got it up to the 15-yard line. Hardy Nickerson on the stop.
One of the things that the Raiders have got to do tonight is get the ball into the hands of James Jett and Tim Brown.
Defensively for Tampa Bay, Chidi Ahanatu played at Berkeley, of course. Manicki gets a start. We'll talk about that. Regan Upshaw is not playing tonight. Warren Sapp will be in the ball game as well. Gooch, Nickerson, and Brooks. Nickerson seeing his first action of the preseason. Abraham, Parker, Lynch, and Mincy in the secondary. And down goes George. In the arms of James, I believe it was James Canada. Now check that, Warren Sapp.
And that's the guy you have to watch out for. He's the guy who brings all the heat. He had 10.5 sacks last year. And here he goes. He beats Wisniewski, takes an outside approach, gets there, makes a lot of trouble for Jeff George.
Turned out to be a terrific draft pick for Tampa Bay. What people were saying was questionable character, and has turned out to be a real leader on this team. Aragoose out of his own end zone. A low twisting kick, tough to handle for Anthony. Runs up, takes it at the 42. It is Jaquez Green, and is dropped at the 41-yard line. So good position, 37-yard punt for Aragoose, and we'll be back. The excellent field position following the 37-yard punt by Aragoose. The ball at the 41-yard line. Bucks are picked by a lot of people, maybe to even get as far as the Super Bowl. Here's one of the reasons why. 8 players in the Pro Bowl last year. That's more than anybody.
That's called good drafting, but it's also called being poor for so long. You get to accumulate a bunch of first-round draft choices, and they ought to have a lot of guys in the Pro Bowl.
But a question mark, Trent Dilfer, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were 30th in passing last year.
Going with their version of the elephant backfield now. Lorenzo Neal at fullback, and Alstott is the tailback. Straight back Dilfer to throw. Has a man. Catch is made that time by Rydell Anthony.
You know, Barry, you and Jim were talking about Dilfer. The interesting thing about him to me is his efficiency level is high, but his productivity in the long passes and the big passes was not, which is why they brought in a couple speedsters like a Jaquez Green and a Bert Emanuel to help the speed of the wide receivers.
Yeah, but he's a one handicap.
Yeah.
Second down and about 2. Ball at the Raiders' 34-yard line. Give it to Alstott, straight ahead, running over people inside the 25. Louis Riddick going for a bit of a ride.
You know, Jim, that is one big tailback right there, I'll tell you. That guy gets the ball up inside. That is a big man going up inside. And this is his first action this year because he's been out with a hip action. It's a guard power play and hand off to the big 6'1", 250-pounder.
Plus, he's running from the halfback spot. He's got a lot of steam going by the time he gets to the line of scrimmage.
It is one of the things that Tony Dungy wanted to work on tonight. He says his running game has been, in his words, abysmal. First down at the 24-yard line of the Raiders. Alstott again, same play, same result. First down at the 14-yard line.
Well, you know, a year ago, they called this backfield with Alstott and Dunn Thunder and Lightning. Now, guess who was the Thunder guy? I think it was the big fullback right there out of Purdue. And you know what, Barry, what's great about him? His parents have not missed one of his games since Pop Warner. You gotta love a guy like that.
But now the Raiders have to find a way to stop this running game of Tampa Bay's.
They go with a single setback this time. 2 tight ends. John Davis in the ballgame, lining up on the wing to the left side. Now they bring him in motion. Dilfer, give it to Alstott again. And this time Alstott has stood straight up at the line of scrimmage.
One of the ways you really neutralize a blitzing defense, guys, is to run the ball right at them. And that's what Tampa Bay has decided to do tonight, is to come in and try to power the Oakland Raider defensive front. And there you get a look at Alstott. And again, he's got 3 touchdowns in 1996, 7 in 1997, and he signed a big-time contract this offseason. He's here for a long time.
6 years, and he said it was the happiest day of my life. It's a dream come true. Warwick Dunn back in the backfield now on 2nd and 9. Somebody jumped. Flag is down a little late. Going end zone. Too tall.
But good pressure by Russell Merrill in that time on Trent Dilfer. He had to throw the ball away, but it looks like an offsides on the Raiders.
I think Lance Johnstone was the man who left a little early.
Well, you know, in the third preseason game, quarterbacks and coaches get a little bit cute here, and I think what they're doing is employing a non-rhythmic cadence.
Offside, number 51 on the defense, 5-yard penalty. Second down.
Yeah, and that was probably all done by the quarterback and changing his cadence, barking the cadence out loud, making them jump offside. So a good job by Trent Dilfer there.
There's the guilty party. He drew his own man offside. We got a timeout. It's 7 minutes and 33 seconds remaining here in the first quarter, and Tampa Bay threatening to score for the first time in this ball game.
You know what you got to do, though, Jim? You got to watch the football. You got to be able to look at the man across from you, but also see the football out of the corner of your eye.
Well, I got a good story for you. With Jeff George and Pat Harlow just the other day at camp, and Lance Johnstone watches Jeff George flick his hands just before he gets the ball to get a jump on the ball, and so he might have seen or heard something that made him jump off sides like that.
Second down and 4. Anthony in motion, and it gives to Alstott. Alstott running over people again, gets into the end zone. That's a big time run. Now the Raiders are saying fumble, but the officials are saying touchdown Tampa Bay.
Barry, it looked like he was already in the end zone. It looked like the ball crossed the plane of the end zone. Now here's a great look at it. He's getting outstanding blocking up front by Neal, and that is one big, powerful man running forward. But I'll tell you, I beg to differ right now with the officials. It looks like that ball fell out before he crossed the end zone line. Eric Turner did a great job of knocking it out.
Mike Husted on to try the extra point. Crowd doesn't like it much, as you might expect. Husted's try is up and good. And interestingly enough, there were 7 minutes and 33 seconds left on the clock when that timeout was called, and the same now.
Power play. George the guard pulls and kicks out over here. Neal, the fullback, comes up inside, and the ball is handed off to the Thunderman at the tailback position, and he goes right there. It's a very old-fashioned Vince Lombardi power play that works to perfection.
Especially when power back like Allstott.
Here's another look at the end of the play, and it's questionable whether the ball came out of his hands before he crossed the end zone line. I think they needed instant replay on that one, Barry.
I think you might be right. Raiders might have had a case. Houston will kick. Howard, about 2 yards deep, he'll try it. Gets the 10, tries to get the outside, now cuts it back, got some room, one man, and he grabs him from behind and stops him at the 28-yard line. Damian Robinson, with what probably was a saving tackle. 7:21, first quarter, 7-0, Bucks. First period. How have the Raiders done so far this year compared to last year? We'll look at these numbers, but Plunk, interestingly enough, Oakland finding itself in a situation it hasn't been in yet this preseason.
Absolutely correct. They haven't been behind at all during the preseason, and this is going to show a lot. Number one, can they bounce back, not sit on their duffs and get controlled by Tampa Bay? Number two, can they come up with a big drive? I think that run back by Desmond Howard has to jack them up a little bit after that touchdown by Tampa.
Raiders will start at the 29-yard line. They go out of the I formation this time with Ritchie back in at fullback. Napoleon Kaufman is the tailback. This is Kaufman. Kaufman, nothing doing. Grabbed by the first man, Jeff Gooch. Now that's a good name for a linebacker.
That is a good name for a linebacker. You know what, Barry and Jim? The Tampa Bay Buccaneer linebackers are as good as there is in the National Football League, and you saw an example of it right there. And I think John Gruden, by the way, is really intelligent right here to try to get a running game going. That is what they have done this entire preseason. Let's get it going again.
Couldn't get it done on first down. They'll try it again with Kaufman alone, setback, slot right, 3 wide. Well, they've been Ritchie as a wide receiver to the near side. George with plenty of time, throws, caught by Jett. First Raiders at the 40-yard line.
And that's one of the things James Jett has been talking about, not only going down the field for the big, long plays on ups and goes and what have you, but he also feels he can catch the ball inside, be that type of possession receiver that Tim Brown has been all these years.
This guy has really come a long way in a relatively short period of time. He's now a football player that was a sprinter instead of the opposite. Play fake this time. George will go up under pressure, throwing deep. That's Jett in front. Can't hang on. Well, that's the way you draw it up, except for one small error.
Yeah, but, I don't even care if it was dropped. I think it was a well-designed play. They showed the speed of James Jett getting behind the receiver, and I think part of that was set up by that hook he caught in front of the defender. So there, he ran right by him, and even though he dropped it, it was well-designed, a lot of speed. They just can't stay up with him.
That just goes to show you the great speed of James Jett. But he's got to go up there, Jim, and catch the ball with his hands, not with his elbows.
Heck of a pass by Jeff George, who was under pressure. Brown comes in motion on 2nd and 10. The give is to Kaufman, trying to bounce outside, and does. Gets the 40-yard line, gets to about the 44. Running him down nicely was Floyd Young, the corner.
Well, that's what Napoleon Kaufman can do really well. He can get stopped at the line of scrimmage, bounce outside, and turn a negative into a positive.
Watch the reaction of Jeff George here. You never did this, did you, Jim?
Oh, no, I let him know if I was upset or not. But Jeff George does not seem to show too much emotion when he's out there. And sometimes, it's just trying to remain calm, cool, and collected.
I have an idea he might have been imploding with emotion. Split backs this time behind George. 3rd down and 5, and leaving early was Jett. So Jett has had both good news and bad news on this drive.
Well, you know what happens when you drop a pass like that? I think your concentration is on the last play as opposed to the present play. And that's obvious what James Jett was doing right there. He was thinking about the miscatch or the ball instead of concentrating on this play. And you better believe that guy right there, John Gruden, will let him know about it.
Mickens and Williams come into the ball game. 4 wide receivers now for the Raiders. Kaufman the lone setback, no tight end. 10 now, straight back George. Big rush, steps up, has time, looks downfield, wide open Mickens, and the pass is a little tall for him. But I'm sure the quarterback would say he should have caught it.
Very catchable football. I like the way Jeff George moved around in the pocket that time. He was under a little pressure, but he gave himself a little more time by sliding up and to the right. and not that difficult to catch. I'm sure Terry Mickens, who's had a bad rib injury after that Dallas game, you know, it's probably very difficult for him to stretch up there like that.
So Aragus will punt for the Raiders again. He'll be kicking to Jaquez Green, and Green can scoot. Well hit this time. Got a lot on this. Green at the 10-yard line. Fumbles the ball. Ball is loose. Raiders have it, I believe. Let's see. No, Tampa Bay's got it. Green recovered it. Greg Beaker was the guy that was right there. That's the way to run a punt play. We'll talk more about that. Got a lot under it. Good coverage. We're coming back. Individual tickets are now on sale for all Raider home games. All you have to do is visit the Oakland Coliseum box office Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. No sales convenience fees apply to tickets purchased at the Coliseum box office.
Well, Barry, I sure hope that the place gets filled up for the home games, because this can be a wonderful place to watch a football game.
Tell you what, win a couple of ball games,
You better believe
they will come. Great punt at 50 yards by Leo Aragus has put the Bucs back at their own 8-yard line. Dilfer, short drop, will put it up, slant, incomplete. Intended for Bert Emanuel.
And that's one of the reasons why Dilfer, although he doesn't come up with a lot of big plays, he was a much more efficient quarterback last year because, number one, of the running game that we saw in their last drive for that touchdown. And so he throws a lot of shorter passes. And Pat Swilling his hands up and tips it and makes it very difficult for the catch, and in fact it falls incomplete.
You know what? That just showed you the athletic ability of Pat Swilling.
Go with the big backfield again with Alstott lining up at the tailback spot behind Lorenzo Neal. Anthony comes in motion, second down and 10. Play fake, Dilfer will throw. Over the middle, clear out this time, caught by Anthony. Slips a tackle and gets to the 16. Going to be about a yard short of the first down. Charles Woodson on the stop.
Excuse me, good job that time, Barry, by the Raider defense of keeping the ball in front of them. And you know, anytime Charles Woodson is around the football, he can come up with a big play. You see the fake underneath by Dilfer. It's a nice job of throwing the ball. But you see Woodson getting blocked, come off the block, come up and make the tackle. That is a big-time football player right there, number 24.
And that was a big-time tackle.
Yeah, I was just going to say a sure tackle. Two tight ends and the two big backs now for Dilfer on third and short. Give it to Alstott, straight ahead, first down across the 20. Eric Turner makes the stop, but too late.
That's the guy you want to give the ball to on third and short or in goal line situations. And this formation, you can look for Tampa to use this formation a great deal this year. It's straight power, straight ahead football, giving the ball to the big 250-pound tailback fullback. Hey, Jim, we got to come up for a name for that position.
But I think also it was just a missed tackle by Mike Morton in the hole.
First down, the ball just across the 20-yard line. In motion, this is John Davis, the tight end, short drop and a quick screen, but unable to hang on to the football was Bert Emanuel.
But that's the kind of offense they run. They try to protect Trent Dilfer because of his shaky start in the league. In fact, a couple of years ago, he had only 4 touchdown passes with 18 interceptions. So, you know, they don't want him to do too much. They want to run the ball, play defense, and throw those kinds of quick passes for that offense.
They expect that guy right there, Bert Emanuel, to be the real go-to receiver this year. Picked him up as a free agent from Atlanta. Tony Dungy knows the players he wants, targets the players he wants. They have a unique scouting system, and he's done everything right so far. Second down and 10. Give it to Alstott again. Tries to bounce outside. Cuts it back, surrounded and dropped for a loss of about 2 yards.
And there's a guy who's that big, that strong. He's not the guy who can stop and try to change direction. Once he gets going north and south, he better stay that way or he's going to wind up with a loss, just as he did right there.
That was a wonderful example that time of defensive swing, which is what Willie Shaw, the defensive coordinator, wants. You got a bunch of guys in dark jerseys around the ball carrier. Guys running hard, looking at the ball carrier, and pursuing the ball at full speed. There's a good look at Willie Shaw, who's done a fantastic job.
Third down and 11. Trips left, and now in motion comes the tight end Davis. Give this time is to Warwick Dunn, and Warwick Dunn will get about 7, but will be well short of the first down.
You know, and I tell you, that's not, you know, that's no for an offense to act. Excuse me, third down, 11 yards to go. You know, I don't understand why they don't try to get a first down in that situation. It's preseason. They want Trent Dilfer to become a better passer down the field, and you know once in a while you got to get him a chance.
And again, it was Woodson on the tackle, so Woodson really making his presence felt so far. Bernhard to kick it away, and be kicking to Desmond Howard. A high spiraling kick, tough kick to handle. Howard does handle it at the 23-yard line. Tries to get to the outside and does. Now he cuts it back, gets to the 32-yard line. I'll tell you, he's a highlight film. 50-yard punt. And a pretty good return by Desmond Howard. We'll take a timeout. 2:08 left first quarter, 7-0 Bucks. Well, Charles Woodson's got the diamond earring, and so far, Artie, he's been a gem.
He's a gem, and he's worth every nickel he's making. He comes from a great program at the University of Michigan, and you know why the Raiders took him with the 4th-round draft choice and 4th pick in the 1st round this past year. This guy will be a superstar, Barry, in the National Football League.
Playing the run as well as the pass tonight. I mean, he is the whole package. So the Raiders start at the 30-yard line, and they gave us the Kaufman, cuts back and gets about 3. Al Singleton on the stop, second-year man out of Temple.
You know, when you look at the Tampa Bay defense, the one thing they do is they push the offensive lineman up the field. In that time, Warren Sapp manhandled Wisniewski, which made Kaufman cut and stagger a little bit in the backfield.
It's an interesting matchup.
I think it's a great matchup.
Sapp's getting the better of it so far, too. Split backs this time on 2nd down and 6. Play fake, George will throw. Comes underneath for Jet, makes the catch for a first down at the 44-yard line. That was George's second choice. I think he was looking at Tim Brown plunk.
He was. He's looking for the quick slant. But here's Sapp. They've got to find a way to get that guy out of the backfield, so now they double team him a little bit, and he gets a little bit of help there by Barrett Robbins. That's what you got to do sometimes. Got to slow him down.
First down at the 44-yard line now. Back split again behind George. George, deep drop this time. Lays it off for Napoleon Kaufman. He had no help. If that was going to be a screen, it sure didn't turn out that way.
No, it looked like it was more of a third choice on a dump.
Got about 1.5 yards. We'll call it 2nd down and 8. Formation this time, and it gave to Kaufman straight ahead, and Kaufman gets a couple to the 48-yard line. Al Singleton again on the stop.
You know, Barry, Artie, I think they're mixing it up very well in the last drive. Although they had a couple of drop passes, they probably should have scored some points last time. But they are moving the ball. Although they're not running the ball extremely well, they're getting the ball down the field.
You know what, though, Jim? This is a great test for this Raider offense. It's a good defense in which to gauge where you're at.
End of the first quarter, and it was a quarter that really neither team dominated, but on the scoreboard, it's Tampa Bay 7 and the Oakland Raiders nothing. We're coming back right after this. Raiders begin the second quarter at the 47-yard line. Well, Jeff George missing a wide-open Tim Brown, and the reason he did was great pressure by Chidi Ahanotu. We've got a chance to look at it now.
Well, Chidi Ahanotu from the University of California was a great pass rusher in college. You see him coming off the corner to the right of your screen there and putting the pressure on Jeff George.
So once again, the Raiders will have to give it up. Leo Aragus, arguably their most valuable player so far, had a 50-yard punt the last time, kicking to Jaquez Green. Hits this one straight up. It's short. Green runs up, lets it bounce at the 24. Takes a Raider bounce, and it's going to get inside the 10-yard line to about the 8.
You know, Barry, being an old special teams coach, that was a mistake that time by Green. You've got to come up, fair catch that, and catch the football. But you know what? Mentally, he was nervous about fumbling again, which is what he did on the previous punt.
And Artie, he's also a rookie. Didn't want to make a mistake again down there, as you mentioned, about fumbling the football. But yeah, you've got to make that kind of catch and give your offense good field position.
But you know, during the preseason, that's when you got to come up and try to make the catch, and then maybe let it bounce during the season if you're not sure.
45-yard punt, as it turns out, for Leo Aragus. He'll take it. Green comes to the near side, and Emmanuel to the far side. I formation with Ward down the tailback. Patrick Haight, the man in motion. Dilfer gives it Dunn. Nothing doing. Might have gotten back to the line of scrimmage. Greg Biekert right on it.
You know, Barry, when I look at this Tampa Bay offense, I see simplicity. They don't have a lot of formations. They don't do a lot of shifting and motion. I think it's an easy offense in which to defend, but they've got good football players that are executing the offense, which then makes it difficult.
I think one of the biggest reasons why this offense works is they cut down on their mistakes. They had a very good year last year, Dilfer. They didn't turn the ball over very much. We're plus in the turnover ratio category.
Second down and 10 now. Green near side and Emmanuel far side. Again out of the I formation. Dunn once again, right up the middle. The gap gets to the 20. First down at the 21-yard line. Gain of 11.
But this is a good, solid football team. They want to continue running that football, not take any chances putting it up in the air.
You know, Dunn, and what they want to do, they want to be able to just give the ball to Warrick Dunn inside and hand the ball off and let him use his athletic ability to get up the field. Now that's great vision right there. He sees the hole open up, he takes the hole and accelerates up the field.
Slot left this time. Allstott the lone setback. Flop the tight end Davis. Play fake and Dilfer will go up. Looking for Jacquez Green. Now he airs it out for Emmanuel. Emmanuel out in front makes the catch at the 28-yard line of the Raiders. A brilliant catch.
That's a brilliant catch, but that's why they brought Emmanuel to Tampa Bay, to make the big plays.
And it was set up mostly by the way they've been running the football with Warrick Dunn and Allstott. Big fake to Mike Allstott. Dilfer has plenty of time. Long route and 51 yards to Bert Emanuel.
Eric Allen defending, and I thought he did about everything he could.
You know what, though? Eric Allen sees the football, but he can't get control of his body to go up and knock the ball away.
Biggest play of the game so far. First down, Bucks. Allstott bouncing outside. And the first man never does take him down, does he? Russell gets it.
You know, he reminds me of a guy by the name of Larry Zonka that used to play in this league. You know Zonka, but boy, does this guy move well, and I thought he made a nifty move that time when the hole was clogged up inside, and he bounced the thing outside and made some positive yards.
And one of the things you don't see the Raiders doing tonight that they've been able to do in the first two preseason games is some penetration and shut off that running game. The Tampa Bay Buccaneer offensive line is controlling that line of scrimmage right now.
Emmanuel goes to the far side. Jacquez Green to the near side. Warrick Dunn back in at tailback. Second down at 7. Play. Dilfer throws. Incomplete. Again, well defended by Woodson.
Well, make a highlight reel, like you said before, Barry, of that guy, because you're going to see it for the next 10 years here with the Oakland Raiders.
Look at, not only did he run deep with a receiver and intercept the ball, here he's got one-on-one coverage. The Raiders blitz. He closes on the ball so quickly and gets a hand on it. Perfect timing. Great play. Great defensive back, Charles Woodson.
I mean, that's an all-pro play right there.
Yes, it is. He's got great wingspan. He can reach big arms around a wide receiver and knock the ball down.
And Plunk really hit it. They're closing on the ball. Short drop, slam, threw it to the wrong side of Emmanuel. They couldn't hang on.
And you wonder if Bert Emanuel wasn't looking for Charles Woodson. You kind of wonder. He's making an impression and impact right away.
So the Bucks will have to settle for a three-point try. Going to be a 42-yarder for Usted.
Well, this is no gimme here now. This guy's been a little bit inconsistent. And I'll tell you, it's hard to kick sometimes here in the Oakland Coliseum when the world is swirling, when the wind is swirling around.
I'll tell you he's inconsistent. I had him on my fantasy team last year. This one, no, he got plenty on and stuck it. He would have made that from 50.
Good kick.
So Tony Dungy, who very seldom changes expression, watches his team take a 10-0 lead.
They had me.
I know. I tried. Every time it's been play action. When 40 and 41 is back there, they gonna pound.
What's up, Mom? How y'all doing back at the prison here?
They're gonna run, pound it, and pound it. Next thing you know, come out and start flowing. You know what I'm saying? Play action shit.
Okay. I know.
The scoring drive, 67 yards on 7 plays, consuming 3 minutes and 11 seconds, ending in a 42-yard field goal line.
On the wall.
Desmond Howard back to receive for the Raiders.
You know, individual game tickets for all Raider preseason and league games are on sale now. To order tickets tonight, call Bass Tickets at 510-762-2277. Operators will be available until 10 p.m. tonight to take your order. Sales convenience fees applied to all phone orders. Call 510-762-2277.
You know, Barry, Artie, I don't know if you've noticed, though, this is a relatively free penalty game. You know, these two teams, Tampa Bay last year, Raiders have improved tremendously in that area.
Peter Elezovic will kick it away, and it's a short kick, and Howard comes up, takes the 5-yard line. Cuts back to the 20 to the 25, and it is an adventure every time to the 28-yard line. Going to get an offside call, however, against the Raiders.
Just when you said there were no penalties, Jim, there is a penalty. It's going to be against Tampa, though, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. Thank you.
But you know what? It was a short kick, and anytime you have a short kick on a kickoff return, you got a chance to get the ball back to around the 30. It used to drive me nuts when I coached at the LA Rams, when the kickoff guy did not kick the ball down inside the 5.
Yeah, but you know what? That was on the 4. Excuse me. But that was inside the 5.
No, it wasn't.
I believe so.
Is this your first fight? You guys are like an old couple here.
I think that was on about the 4-yard line.
Yeah, I think it was, actually.
You know
I'm voting for the quarterback.
I went to Cal here. He went to Stanford.
Yeah, that's
remember?
right. So he knows math.
But, you know, it's hang time. It's all those things. Get the ball up
Well,
in
you
the
didn't
air.
mention hang time.
Yeah, I know.
But anyway, you know, obviously, you know, you're correct in what you're saying. But, you know, whenever it's a quote-unquote short kick or not very much hang time, you do have that opportunity to get the ball up the field as quickly as possible.
Well, bottom line is that Michael Usted will kick it off now, as opposed to
Michael
Peter
Usted to kick
Elezovic.
off for the Buccaneers.
Maybe Tony Dungy thought the same thing I did. But you know why you make him kick it again? Obviously, because you got a chance to maybe break it for a big play. But the kickoff cover team, Barry, is tired from running down there. Make him run down there again. And if there's another penalty, make him run down a 3rd time.
I think your first point is well taken. With Desmond Howard back there, there's always the opportunity for a big play. Usted sticks this one pretty good. This is going to get into the end zone. That's a big-time kick. Howard comes out to the 10, gets the 20, gets the same place he was, and this time a flag is down, so the Raiders are going to back up.
Yeah, they'll probably be penalized on this one for an illegal block from where the flag was thrown. And that's also a killer, because what it does, it just backs you up inside the 10 or 15, wherever it ends up, but it puts your offense in negative field position from the get-go.
And this goes to show you just how important these special teams are to the football team. Either good or bad field position results from, you know, the kind of mistakes that happen down there.
Number 44 during the return, 10-yard penalty. First down.
You know, special teams have always been important, but I think in today's football, they're even more important, because there's such a great quality of coaching going on offense and defense. If you can get the edge in special teams, I think that's a huge bonus. It's more important today than it's ever been, as you look at Dave Adolph on the right and Willie Shaw on the left.
Raiders start from the 12-yard line. Give this to Kaufman. Kaufman trying to get outside, needs a block. And Jet didn't give it to him at the 20-yard line. Still gained 8 yards, but that could have been a big play.
He almost split those two defenders right there, and if he could have done that, I think it would have been almost impossible for him to catch. But here's one of the things that Napoleon Kaufman does, and he does it often. He's able to change direction, change field, go all the way, start to the right, go all the way back to the left. And he almost splits that, but they're able to catch him and nail him.
And Jet had 2 guys to hit and didn't hit anybody.
Doggone.
Second down and 2. Pitch to Kaufman, left, right side. Kaufman will be stopped short of the first down. Maybe got a yard. I don't think he got that much. Hardy Nickerson runs him down. Another guy played his college ball here in the Bay Area.
Hardy Nickerson made a big-time linebacker play. The ball is pitched to the right, and all Napoleon Kaufman. He sees the hole, he gets up the field, and Nickerson shuffles over and makes the play.
But that's another dangerous position for Napoleon to be in. If he could have broken that tackle, there's no telling how far he could have gone. That's the kind of play he brings to that football team.
Third down, long yard. And George will go up. Rolls to his right. Now waves Timmy Brown on and will go for it himself. Knows exactly where he needs to get. And I believe he has enough for first down.
You know, I'll tell you what, though. If you saw Napoleon Kaufman just nail number 72, Hutton, I mean, he delivers a block on a 300-pound defensive lineman right there. Just knocks him to the ground. That's a great effort by a guy who weighs, you know, less than 200 pounds.
But it shows you the versatility of Napoleon Kaufman. He can run the ball, he can catch passes, he can block. What a block that was on Chidi Ahanotu.
I'll tell you what, you look at his guns and you can see how he can knock down a 300-pound guy. Jet goes in motion, and George will go up. Clear out this time. The ball is caught by Harvey Williams, and Williams gets about 6. Derek Brooks on the stop. Nice play.
Nice play. Everybody ran deep. It was a vertical passing route by all the receivers in the tight end, and you sneak Harvey Williams out of the backfield over the middle. But you got to give credit up front to the offensive line. I think they're doing a magnificent job this year, so far in the preseason, of protecting Jeff George.
Second down and 3 now for the Raiders. Knows the football at the 31-yard line. I formation this time with Tim Brown in motion. Harvey Williams. And Williams gets cracked. Got to get close to the first down, though.
I don't know if you saw John Lynch flying up from a safety position, but that's how he got that reputation. You know, he leads about, was third in tackles last year for Tampa Bay. He just comes up flying, and he delivers a blow. John Lynch, former Stanford quarterback and safety.
You know, and Harvey Williams really has nowhere to go there.
And here he comes right there. Excuse me.
He doesn't exactly have a quarterback's mentality, does he?
No, he doesn't. But a point of interest, which I'll get to a little bit later.
Trips right this time for the Raiders. 4 wide receivers now. And they bring Dudley, the tight end, in motion from the outside. George steps up in trouble now, gets away, buys some time, and finally just goes down. Hardy Nickerson made sure he wasn't going to get outside the containment.
Smart play that time by Jeff George. He had nowhere to throw the ball down the.
So it'll be 2nd and 10. You see the numbers on Jeff George. Everything has been underneath so far, but for the one pass that James Jett really should have had. Straight back, George again, throws underneath this time, caught by Jett. Gain of about 4.
You know, once again, you know, they're not putting the ball down the field. I think they
6 split backs behind George. Blitz of the Bucs, they come with it. And George running for his life. Unloads it, throws it away. Good play, and he took a shot from Donnie Abraham. They brought the inside backer and then also brought Abraham late.
I tell you, both these teams are doing a
Look at Donnie Abraham, 3rd-year man out of East Tennessee State. Good kick again by Aragus, twisting kick, and this time Jacquez Green, obviously listening to the old special teams coach, Artie Gigantino.
Well, go up and catch it if you can.
We're coming back, 10-zip Bucks.
An example of some of the great Raider fans that populate this Coliseum. And there's a few more. Look at this guy. Look at this guy right here. Why would you do that right there? Look at that guy.
Did all you guys to dress like that, didn't you?
all our fans did, I guarantee you. And they've been around for a long time.
Well, only when you were playing, those are real heads.
The thing is, they catch a plane and fly down here.
I love it.
Dressed like that.
Look at the numbers. Tampa Bay pretty lopsided. Spar. Dilfer at quarterback as the Bucs start from the 30-yard line. Warren Dunn. Cut back. Into the open at the 40, 45. Trying to step outside across midfield to the 48. And another big-time run. 22 yards on that one for Warwick Dunn.
You know, I'll tell you one thing, Barry. Okay, to go back to the running play right now. Go ahead.
Okay, you're going to see Dunn get the ball and hit up right up in here. He's doing a great job of seeing the hole and exploding up the field. He's right now got 8 carries for 61 yards. This guy is a special running back.
Well, the Buccaneers, whose offense has been sort of missing in action through their first couple of exhibition games. There's a pump fake now by Dilfer. They got it all in gear right now. Dilfer throws it away. Good coverage that time by the Raiders. Lance Johnstone with a little push.
You know what's happening tonight? Tampa Bay is doing to the Raiders what some opponents did a year ago. They're lining up in power formations, sometimes two tight ends, and just trying to pound them. And I'll tell you, Jim, you know this as an ex-quarterback, that really neutralizes the blitz when you're lining up in power formations and running right at the defense.
And most of the time they're going man blocking and just letting the back, in this case, work done, just find a hole. And when the Raiders overrun it, he's able to cut back and pick up some good yardage.
This time I'll stop the lone setback as Brody Manuel comes to the near side. Jacquez Green to the far side. Play fake, and Dilfer will go up again. Has time. Deep. Got a man. Jacquez Green out in front, but good coverage by the Raiders. But a flag is down, and that's going to put the ball at the 1-yard line. Lewis Riddick is going to be the guilty party.
You know what? When I used to coach the defensive, is very angry about with Trent Dilfer.
But this is going to be an excellent red zone team, I think, Artie. They got the elephant backfield in there now. Neal, Alstott. This is Alstott, and that's a touchdown.
No, I think it came up short.
He might have. See, I called it too quick again, didn't I?
He's tough, though, because he's almost prone to the ground, yet he's struggling forward, but I guess they felt he had his knee down.
That's called sheer power and determination because, like you said, Jim, that guy is tough to bring down, especially inside. Now watch his power up inside him. He gets the hand up. He gets tripped up in the backfield, but he keeps his legs churning, and he's like a freight train hitting up in there.
And it looked like a touchdown. It looked like he's got that ball over, but...
So it'll be second down and goal, and I don't think there's going to be anything fancy going on here either. Give it a stop.
Then he stopped once again.
Might have.
Great defensive surge by the Raiders that time.
Well, Grady Jackson, who's one of the most improved defensive players on this football team, made one of the initial stops there. That's good to see. The Raider defensive front, those guys right there with their rear ends up in the air and their helmets down, making the stop. Because this was an area of concern, especially after the El Paso scrimmage for the Raider defensive coaches.
And you mentioned Grady Jackson. They said he's probably the most improved player through training camp. He's just come into training camp determined to do a better job.
So it'll be third down, and they haven't moved more than a couple of inches here on the first two snaps. Dilfer gives to Alstott again, and this time he is still no signal.
I think the play clock ran out, Barry.
I think it might have.
But you know what? Give some credit here to the fans. This place erupted. It's loud and it's noisy down in that end zone.
Clock was prior to the snap. Cleared debris from the field.
So it wasn't too much time. It was debris on the field. Fans in that end zone throwing things into the end zone area.
You know, Barry, you can tell Tony Dungy's a defensive coach because an offensive coach there would have run a bootleg or something. A defensive guy just hands it off to the big guy in the backfield.
Why not? Third down and goal. Alstott again. Stopped again. And stopped for a loss of a couple. That's a terrific goal line stand.
You know, I think this is the kind of effort that the Raiders need in situations like this to give them confidence going into the regular season. That was a great goal line stand by that Raiders.
Well, now let's see. So far, the Bucs appear to be going for it on fourth down.
You know what? A goal line stand and a punt block to me gets your team fired up and change the momentum of the game. But you know what I like about that? You can't identify one Raider defender. It's a whole bunch of Raider defenders.
I'll tell you what, too. Tampa Bay got an excellent spot. The ball's at the 1-yard line. Fourth down. Play fake. Dilfer will throw. Now he's in trouble. Rolls away. Throws. It is caught. But is it a touchdown? Yes. Caught by Andrew Jordan, the tight end. But it wasn't easy.
It wasn't easy, and an offensive coach called that play because you know Tony Dungy wanted to pound it in again. But there's a look of disappointment on John Gruden, but he should be proud of his defensive unit down there because I thought they did a sensational job stopping him for 3 plays on the 1-yard line.
Even on that play, I thought they played it very well. You know, of course, there's going to be a play-action pass the way they've been running the ball down there, but yet they almost stopped that play. Right there, they just lose. of Dilfer, and he's able to get outside and make the throw.
Peter Olezovic, who had the short kickoff a moment ago and will probably be looking for work in the next couple of days, does make good on the extra point. 17-0, Buccaneers.
And watch Mike Morton, number 50, Raider linebacker now. He's assigned to cover Jordan, who ends up catching the ball. He comes off of him because he sees Dilfer get outside the pocket right over here. He comes off, he goes to tackle Dilfer, and he leaves his man. Albert Lewis, number 29, tries to cover for him, but it's too late. Mike Morton's got to stay on his man, Barry.
So Olezovic will kick it off. There you see the scoring drive. The big play was, of course, the pass interference call on Louis Riddick. On the kickoff, Howard about a yard deep to the 10. Stopped short of the 20 at the 16-yard line. Good defensive play by Donnie Abraham and Floyd Young. Don't go away, we're coming back. Good look at John Gruden, the youngest coach in the National Football League, which gave us an opportunity to talk to one of the veteran players about how that all works on this team.
You know, can he handle, at 34, can he handle all these guys with different attitudes and things flowing every day? And he's shown up until this point that he can do that. And I think for him to be successful, he not only has to be successful on the field, but he has to be able to deal with those things that happen off the field.
Well, I think he respected his players, especially based on the first two games. Screen pass this time to Napoleon Kaufman, and Kaufman again can't quite get that step. Got about 6. Tyoka Jackson made the stop, running Napoleon Kaufman down from behind. Plunk, you were talking about being in practice earlier this week and that maybe the writing was on the wall for what's happened in this first half.
Yeah, it certainly seems to me that way. I was at camp. They were dragging. They weren't very crisp. They weren't very sharp. It was their 32nd day of two-a-days, and yet, you know, those are periods you got to work through, but I don't think they have their legs. I think they're a little tired right about now.
Split backs on second down. Raiders, of course, needless to say, want to get some points out of this drive. They've come up empty so far. That got about a yard, not much more than that. Floyd Young forcing Kaufman out of bounds.
And you know what else people don't remember, Jim, is that when you travel, it takes something out of you. You go to Dallas for 3 days to scrimmage against the Cowboys and then play the Cowboys, and then you got to go all the way to Green Bay. So travel sometimes takes its toll also as much as playing.
And John Gruden mentioned that it was 30. It was the longest camp he's ever been involved in. As I said, it was their 32nd day.
All right, we got the 2-minute warning. We'll come back, pick that up right after this.
John Gruden, this Raider offense.
Big play here, 3rd down and 2. Tim Brown comes in motion. Jeff George will go up. Throws underneath, caught by Brown, and and he's not going to get it.
You know, that's certainly one of the things that I really can't fathom. You know, you've got third down, 2.5 yards to go, and you throw a 1-yard pass. You know, in my mind, you got to go. It doesn't take you that much longer to go 3 yards, I guarantee you, to get that first down. And that's something I really detest. You know, in that series there were one screen, which they need more of, I believe, another short pass for another yard, and this one for another yard, 1.5 yards. And you know, now they're going to have to punt the ball away, and with almost, you know, 1:40 to go, and here's Tim's route. He just runs right down the line of scrimmage and stops, basically goes out hoping to break a tackle, but it didn't happen. And now Tampa Bay might get the ball back in good field position with a chance to score.
You know, Jim, that's a typical player's response. Got to break us up here, Barry. But I think the coaches, instead of 3rd and 2 or 2.5, they might have thought it was 3rd and 3. And 3rd and 3 on the coach's chart tells you to throw a short pass.
Yeah.
To the punting, Jaquez Green at the 35-yard line. Short, wobbly kick. Green right at the 35. Gets outside, now he's got room. Look out, 40, midfield to the 45-yard line of the Raiders. Saving tackle that time by James Folston.
She should have been called back as well.
Instead, at the 45-yard line, the Bucs with a setback and 4 wide receivers. Dilfer to throw, stays in the pocket, throws, caught on a tough catch by Rydell Anthony.
But a good stick.
Now with 1:13 remaining. First down at the 32-yard line. Dilfer straight back again over the middle, and the man fell down. Who can stick people, and he's got that. Short drop this time. Dilfer knocked down. Lance Johnstone right in the pattern that time.
And hoping he would have intercepted that ball and run it, and he just got in the way.
It was a 3-step drop, that's why, so you stay on the line of scrimmage.
3rd down and 10 now. Back split behind Dilfer. Dilfer straight back, steps up, throws underneath for Dunn. Dunn makes the catch and is cracked by Aaron Wallace at the 25-yard line. Lezovic is going to have to take his step on the dirt and kick off the turf. Got a lot on this. It is good. That's a 44-yarder for Peter Lezovic, and I don't know whether or not he's going to wind up with a job on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but he might wind up with a job. Well, this time it's Barnard who kicks it off, and he drives this ball. There'll be no return this time. Well, the kicking game for Tampa Bay seems pretty solid, doesn't it?
Very solid. And again, I think when you're a defensive head coach, you have a tendency to coach special teams harder because you know more about it. Most quarterback coaches have never coached special teams. John Gruden's a great coach, but I'll guarantee you he's never coached special teams. A guy like Tony Dungy has. So I just think it's part of the deal when you're a defensive coach. You have a little bit more of an interest in what goes on in special teams.
And it was Houston, not Barnard, who kicked the ball off. So he seems pretty secure as George takes a knee, and the Raiders will take the opportunity to talk it over at halftime. And they got a lot to talk about because they're looking up at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers down by 20. Bucs 20, Raiders nothing. Halftime activities coming up.
Barry, especially on defense and special teams, the way Tampa Bay does.
Raiders will get it first. Lezovic kicking it off. A high kick is going to drive Howard to the end zone. 2 yards deep, he'll come out. No place to go. Down at the 9-yard line, and things going from bad to worse here.
And I think once you start running sideways, as Desmond Howard did that time, you're going to be in for trouble.
Damian Robinson has made a couple of special teams tackles for Tampa Bay. Made that one on Howard, and the Raiders start deep in their own territory.
You know, all week long, the Raiders had an emphasis on the kickoff return and the wedge in the kickoff return. Obviously, it didn't work there, but they want to make the punt return and the kickoff return the first play of the next offensive series.
Plunk, we answered one of our questions. It is the first unit that is out there to start the second half for the Oakland Raiders, and they start at their own 9-yard line. Jeff George will go up on first down. Throws a little swing for Kaufman. Kaufman gets the 10, tries to get outside of the 15, down at the 17-yard line. Gain of 8. John Lynch makes the stop.
See, Barry, in my mind, That's just like a run. You dump the ball out to your great running back, Napoleon Kaufman, and you allow him to get in a one-on-one situation in the open field with the defender. That, to me, is a cheated running play.
But also, Artie, you know, they're down 20-0. I'd also like to see him stretch the field, stretch that defense both widthwise and lengthwise, and make something big happen down the field.
2nd down and 3 now. Tim Brown, incidentally, has been invisible in this game. Single coverage on him right now, though. Straight back, Jeff George throws a swing out of the backfield the other way for Kaufman, who's got the first down. At the 22-yard line, Hardy Nickerson makes the stop.
And I'll tell you, Hardy Nickerson can cover some ground, but that was a good effort that time by Napoleon Kaufman to get the ball and get up the field.
And here they come with a safety blitz. John Lynch is literally in the backfield.
And you're going to see Napoleon here on your left take a little swing pass out to the side. Now this guy is dangerous in the open field, but I'll tell you, the guy who does a great job is Jeff Gooch, number 50, of forcing him back inside.
Slot left this time, 3 wide out, single setback for the Raiders on 1st down. George straight back, deep drop, throws a screen over the middle for Kaufman at the 25, tries to step outside and does so, going backward again though, as he was up to about the 28 or 9-yard line, went backward to the 25, which is where he caught the ball in the first place.
Yeah, you can't make mistakes like that. You know, you got it. Once you got that position down the field, you want to backtrack and lose yardage.
Well, you know what happens though? It gets to be tough sledding when you get on that infield dirt there. It's hard to get a grip with your cleats on the dirt.
Harvey Williams in at the setback spot now. Again, 3 wide outs as they bring Ritchie to the far side. Straight back, George again. And down he goes. Might have just fallen over his own blocker. I'm not really sure that anybody got a hand on him. He just kind of fell over Pat Harlow.
Well, certainly number 94, Steve White, was on the pass rush, and he might have reached out when he was on the ground and grabbed.
Well, you're going to see White right down here. What he does, he trips him with his left foot. On the left of your screen, Steve White's foot gets the sack on Jeff George.
So it is a 3rd down and 15 now, and the Raiders in a familiar long yardage situation. See the numbers on Jeff George last year. That's something John Gruden wants to change. George this time steps up, buys time, throws downfield, underthrew it, and the ball is intercepted by Abraham. Abraham comes back to the 30, steps inside, and is thrown out of bounds to 26. And that's a ball that Jeff George would like to have back.
Yeah, he should have never thrown the ball on the field like that. They were playing deep. It was 3rd down and 15, and you can't make that kind of mistakes, especially Jeff George. And he doesn't throw many interceptions. I think he was just a little frustrated and just put the ball up for grabs, so to speak, hoping Ricky Dudley could come up with it.
You're going to see Jeff George now out to his right here. He's going to roll. He's got good mobility getting away from the rush, but he throws the ball with a little bit too much air underneath it, which allows Donnie Abram to come underneath and make the interception. The bad part, though, Barry, is the field position.
Leland McElroy is the tailback now for Tampa Bay. First time we've seen him. They picked him up off the waiver wire from Arizona, and Scott Milanovich is the quarterback.
No, Dilfer's still the quarterback, Barry, I believe, number 12.
You're right.
But I bet you that's the last one, Jeff George, I believe.
I would say that's probably accurate.
Good job that time by Lance Johnstone, who I think is developing into an outstanding defensive end. Some people think he's too light, but to me, the way he's playing right now, he's really showing what type of athlete he is, and he's a hard-playing athlete.
So we'll see what kind of business McElroy can do. 3rd-year player out of Texas A&M. Was a #1 draft choice back in 1996 by Arizona. Dilfer steps up this time, and he's going to run slide down safely at the 24-yard line.
Where was that feet first slide when I got in the league?
Yeah, that's right.
I took some awful big hits.
You know, one of the complaints about Dilfer is that he does not set in the pocket, and that was an example that time of him out of the pocket and getting some positive yards up the field. This past off season, he spent a tremendous amount of time, Jim, working on his mobility. He still doesn't look mobile to me, though.
No, to me either.
Jerry Elton is now in running back for the Buccaneers. They bring Davis in motion and now set him up in the backfield. Blitz comes, and Dilfer throws. The ball is caught this time, and that is going to be Copeland for a touchdown. Make it Carl Williams for the score. Texas A&M Kingsville gets the score, and Jeff George can only scratch his head and talk about wouldas and couldas and shouldas as he dons the baseball cap, which means his night is over.
And Allen had the opportunity to make the tackle from the inside out. There was an out route, and as experienced as Allen is, he should have known to take a better angle on that particular play. But they couldn't pick. They picked up the blitz well. They just plain out missed that tackle.
And Eric's got to come up though and make the sure tackle on that. He's got to be sure that he wraps him up and knocks him out of bounds.
Houston's try for point is up and good, and the Tampa Bay Bucks have stretched it out to a 27-0 lead over the Raiders with 10:34 left in the third quarter. Five players on this Tampa Bay roster from Texas A&M Kingsville.
I know that's a football factory somewhere in the middle of Texas. I got a better stat for you though, Barry.
I'll take it.
On the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 1/8 of the team is from those three schools.
Oh, you talked about the fact that they play defense like an SEC team. Long kickoff handled by Howard again at the goal line, and Howard is wrecked short of the 20-yard line. Bryce Hunter makes the stop. You can't say enough about Tampa Bay special teams.
Well, you know what, though? The Raiders have got to do a better job of slowing down the coverage guys, because right now, Desmond Howard and the kick return people are just moving targets. And that guy that hugged that player, Hunter, is Joe Marciano, one of the great special teams coaches in the National Football League. And here you see Hunter just lay the wood that time on Desmond Howard.
Don Hollis is the quarterback now for the Raiders. Jeff George's day is done. Here's an inside handoff to Ritchie, and Ritchie gets across the 25 to the 27-yard line. Haven't seen that play before, Plunk.
Now it looked like an inside trap to me. And John Ritchie, you know, he's a guy who can be very productive if given the ball enough times.
Don Hollis has really proved himself in my mind that he's the backup quarterback, not only this offseason, but this past training camp.
He called himself a plugger. He said, I don't have the skills that Jeff George does. I don't have the arm that Jeff George does. He says, I just have to outwork everybody. And he's done exactly that in camp this year. Give this time is to Harvey Williams, and Williams going to be stopped short of the first down.
You know what, though, Barry? He's a smart guy, and he's the perfect backup because he knows the offense. He's intelligent. He went to Rice University. You got to be smart, right, Plunk, to get into Rice. So he is the perfect backup in my mind. I don't think he's going to lead you to the Super Bowl, but he's certainly not going to lose games for you.
It's the Stanford of Texas, right?
Yeah, kind of. But I think he's given the confidence to the coaches that he can be a suitable backup.
Those numbers are a little deceiving. High percentage of completions, but not a night to remember. Here's Rodney Williams with a great grab on the pass from Hollis. Gets it to the 35-yard line. I think he's earned a spot.
I do, too. To me, he's one of the surprises of training camp. Now, he's not been shown much tonight because he hasn't played much in the first half. But if you look at this football team, he is definitely one of the major surprises of the Raider football team during training camp.
Yeah, and he's leading with 9 receptions in the preseason. He's leading all receivers out there.
Largely a second unit for both the Raiders and for the Bucs at this point. We'll try to keep up with some of the individuals in the ballgame. Play fake. Hollis will throw. Does so. It's caught this time by Derek Brown, the tight end. That's going to be close to another first down for the Raiders across.
Secondary of Tampa Bay is a little looser, not trying to give up the big play.
And a Raider first down.
I'll tell you about the Raider offensive line in a moment. They bring Mickens in motion now. First down at the 45-yard line. Pitch to Williams. And Williams gets a little yardage across midfield to the 48-yard line. Marcus Jones on at a defensive end spot for the Bucs. Make the stop. So Mo Collins is, in fact, in the ball game along set eye with Williams, the tailback. And they give it to play fake, and Hollis throws a little bit too tall for Ritchie, who couldn't quite catch up with that.
And you know, Barry, what's happening now, they're playing Mo Collins at left offensive guard instead of left tackle. Sometimes it's easier for a young player to make the adjustment at guard because you got a center to your right, you got a tackle to your left, you're not out in space quite as much. So I think that's a good move to get him in the game and get him playing and find the best combination.
Well, one of the things they want to do is also give a little bit more depth to that offensive line, and they want some of those linemen to be able to play more than one position.
There's a corner blitz coming this time, and a great play by Hollis. He got the ball to Brown, but they're going to say incomplete pass. They were coming with everybody that time. Quarles was coming. Rondé Barber was coming off the corner.
Yeah, Sheldon Quarles, he's out of Vanderbilt. He played for a good friend of mine down there, Woody Woodenhofer. And one of the things Tony Dungy wants to do this year on defense, Barry, is blitz more. He feels good about his base defense, but he feels he's got to blitz more to create more turnovers.
So Leo Aragus will come on to punt it away again. And Tampa Bay is going to ask for a timeout, and we'll take one as well with 7:18 remaining third quarter, and the Buccaneers running away and hiding 27-0. Well, you look at the Skull Patrol, it's a 27-0 ball game, but they haven't lost their enthusiasm.
Great fans here in the Oakland Coliseum, and believe me, these guys never ever give up. Would you wear a hat like that, Barry?
No.
I got 5 of them.
I want what he's taking. Here's a high twisting kick. Flag goes down as Green makes a fair catch at the 10-yard line. Flags everywhere. And I think this is going to go against Tampa Bay. That is, if Kenny Shedd's expression is any indication.
It depends on when the flag was thrown, before or after the kick. Depends on whether it'll be a first down or Tampa Bay will be penalized from where they caught the football.
I think the ball was in the air.
Holding. Number 25 of the receiving team. Penalized. First down.
You know, when you're a special teams coach in the NFL, that you don't watch the play, Barry. You look at the field to see if there's any flags.
And there almost always is.
And there almost always is.
Hate to see a holding call and a fair catch. Adds insult to injury. We're coming back.
His offensive unit.
So he leaves it now to Steve Walsh. And Walsh puts it right in the hands of Lorenzo Neal. And Neal juggled the ball and was dangerously close to a pick.
You know, Steve Walsh is a 10-year veteran. He's been around the league with Dallas, New Orleans, Chicago, and St. Louis, and so he provides them some experienced backup, although they were very high on Scott Milanovich, who played most of the preseason, threw 4 TD passes, ran for some good first downs, and generally moved this offense better than any of the other quarterbacks.
Yeah, he did. As a matter of fact, this is a very important game for Steve Walsh. He has to be impressive, because if he's not, he's going to be the number 3 quarterback, and that means holding the clipboard and wearing a baseball cap.
You know, he's had an interesting career.
Jerry Ellison is the setback, trips left formation, one wide receiver to the right side, and checking off is Walsh. Ball at the 5-yard line, 3rd down and 10. And they give it to Ellison, and Ellison gets a little room and has a first down.
You know, Barry, what you do in nickel defenses and nickel offenses sometimes, you do the unusual. And that's what happened there. Tampa spread out the Raider defense and handed the ball off up inside to Ellison, because you're not trying to play the run. You're trying to play the pass. And you see Winch, the left guard, number 71, pull around and make the key block on the trap.
Calvin Branch, the injured Raider, and he appears to be all right. We'll find out when we come back. McElroy is the tailback in the I formation now. Lorenzo Neal, the fullback. Steve Walsh, the quarterback. Raiders show blitz. The ball is given to McElroy, and McElroy gets it up to the 15-yard line before he slipped and fell. Gain of 5. Calvin Branch, who was shaken up on the last play, came off under his own power. Appears to be okay.
You know, the one positive thing right now, you get a real chance to evaluate some of these young players, like a Travian Smith, like a Branch, like a Myron Smith, like an Aaron Wallace. Some of the guys that haven't gotten a lot of action so far this year, because that man right there, John Gruden, has got to make some tough cuts tonight and next week.
2nd down and 5. In motion this time comes Andrew Jordan. Walsh will put it out for the first time, throws to Jordan off his fingertips.
Is in certain position.
You flip a coin, don't you?
Sometimes.
Slot right this time with Copeland in the slot. Single setback McElroy. Long count by Walsh. He'll go up. slips. Now he gets up and just throws it away in the vicinity of Jerry Ellison, so there'll be no flag.
But it looked like the Raiders were offsides, Barry.
So just when the Raiders look like they might get the ball back, a penalty will, I believe, give them a first down. The ball is very close to the 20-yard line. I'm not sure if there's going to be a first down or not.
You know, Barry, penalties to me
Offside.
are broken down.
Defense, left tackle, 5-yard penalty. Repeat, third down.
Into two categories: physical, aggressive fouls and ignorant fouls. When you jump off sides on third down, it's an ignorant foul. If you go and you break up a pass and you rough the receiver and it's pass interference, to me, those are aggressive fouls. And it's the timing of the foul. You don't mind them on first down, but on third down, those are the killers.
Robbie Abdullah will be the tailback now on third and short, and it is Abdullah, and he is stopped short. Don't believe he's going to get enough.
You know, Myron Smith made that play, number 58, and he is an interesting story because he's from Louisiana Tech. He wasn't drafted. They signed him as a free agent. The guy was a great player in college. He made over 325 tackles in college. Nobody drafted him because they thought he was too small, but he's a good-looking football player that's fast and has a chance to make this team.
Fighting for his life tonight. High snap, and Barnard gets this one away, kicks a wobbly high kick, then Howard backs up and takes at the 33-yard line, and he is surrounded, but now he gets a step. Howard short of midfield on a diving tackle, 43-yard punt, but a good return as Tyrone Leggett makes the tackle, and it might have been a saving tackle for Tampa Bay. So the Raiders will get the ball just short of midfield when we come back. 4:13 remaining, third quarter. $27-0 ball game, 4:13 remaining in the third quarter.
A special guest tonight of the Oakland Raiders is a young man by the name of Lee Franklin, who's battling leukemia. You know, he's had it for 18 months. He's here with his whole baseball team, and the Raiders invited him and his baseball team to come to the game tonight. He's a young man with great courage and strength to fight back.
Give on first down to Williams. Williams stopped right about the line of scrimmage, short of midfield. Wrestling match for the ball.
And you know, you love to hear stories about guys like that, especially a young man who's prime of life, 12, 13, 14 years old, gets a dreadful disease like that, but has the courage and the strength to fight back, and he's well on the road to recovery.
Okay, 2nd and 10.
Rodney Williams comes to the near side, and Terry Mickens to the far side. A couple of real, I don't want to say Mickens was a surprise, but Rodney Williams certainly has been. Both these guys very likely to make this team. Straight back Hollis, throws for Mickens, jump ball. Mickens comes down with a great effort by Mickens, fumbles out of bounds, but the Raiders will have it at the 25-yard line.
That's a great effort by Terry Mickens, sticking with the ball. The ball was very badly underthrown.
Receivers they have, and he's done a wonderful job.
And plus he comes off a winning team too,
Absolutely.
which is a real factor. Hollis shakes a tackle, in trouble, shakes another, flags everywhere. It looks pretty, but it's all going to be for naught.
I think that's going to be a face mask, Barry. When a quarterback runs around like that and defensive linemen are reaching, sometimes their hands get into a face mask.
Yeah, I thought that happened before the face mask. I'm not sure.
Well, you'll see it here. You see Hollis give a little fake up
You're
inside
right.
the Harvey Williams, steps up into the pocket, and it looks like it was a face mask by number 97, Jackson.
Face mask. Number 97 in the defense.
Hey, you
5
see it
yards
again.
only.
See Jackson's right
Remains
hand.
first down.
A little bit of an ear hole, too.
A little bit of everything. But that's everything. That's something Donald Hollis brings to this offense. So he's able to move, run up the field, come up with plays on the move, something that, you know, that Jeff George can't do quite well.
Hollis has been able to move the Raiders, but they've been unable to get on the scoreboard. Here are the penalties. That actually only one penalty for the Raiders in the second half. Tampa Bay had only one in the first half. Here's Harvey Williams. And Williams gets the shoulders squared up and gets about the 11-yard line. It'll be a gain of close to 4 yards.
You know, another thing that Harvey Williams provides, besides being another running back with experience and good hands, he gives Napoleon Kaufman a break during the course of the season, which I don't think Napoleon got very often last year, or often enough, I should say.
And he's a good inside the 10-yard line, inside the 15-yard line runner. He's a goal line runner and a short yard runner.
It's been an area of concern for John Gruden, is how they've done, how this team has done in short yardage near the goal line. And quite frankly, they've not done real well so far this year. Hollis back to pass, steps up, in trouble, down he goes.
But I like the fact that he at least went towards the line of scrimmage. So although he did get a sack, it brought the ball almost back to the line of scrimmage, so you don't lose too much there.
You know, you look at this Tampa Bay defensive front and James Kenyatta, who made the tackle that time. They're a bunch of shorter, quicker kind of guys. There are no 300-pounders in there. They're slim, athletic-looking, speed defensive linemen.
Jermaine Williams in the ballgame at fullback now, with Williams behind Hollis. They bring Rodney Williams in motion. This is the other Williams. Oh, rather, Harvey Williams, who gets the call. Too many Williams in the game. You got Jermaine Williams, Harvey Williams, and Rodney Williams all in there right now.
Well, one big happy family, that's for sure. But you know, you talk about Jermaine Williams, who was the lead blocker that time. He's another guy that's probably going to make this football team, not only as the backup fullback, but also he's an outstanding special teams performer.
You know, Plunk, I don't know if you find this significant, and I'll get your comment on it after this play, but Dudley and Brown tonight combining for 1 reception for 1 yard. We'll talk about that right after this play. 3rd down now and 5. Raiders can make a first down without making a touchdown. Hollis will throw. Pump fake, comes back over the middle for Williams, and somebody hit his arm right as he threw, because that ball was pretty poorly underthrown.
I think he just pulled the string on the ball. He saw the receiver running towards the defender, Rodney Williams, and he wanted to pull it back almost, because he saw the defender standing right in front of him.
You know what happens though, Jim? Tampa tricks him a little bit. They zone defense. He was expecting man-to-man coverage. Tampa showed a zone, which is why he pumped and pulled back on the football. That's a good defensive deployment that time by the Buccaneers.
So Davis, who is the clear-cut leader in the kick competition, the place-kicking competition that is for the Raiders, will try a 25-yarder. High snap. Argus did a good job to get it down, but Davis just couldn't get it directed in the right way, and so the Raiders continue to come up empty tonight.
And that's one of the problems.
Excuse me, Jim.
That's one of the problems they felt they had last year with Aragus holding the ball. A lot of snaps he mishandled, and the fans, in the stadium were on him quite a bit.
Jim, being an old special teams coach, I'll tell you, Aragus did a pretty good job that time of getting the high snap and getting it down. I'm a guy that likes to have quarterbacks in there, but you got to give credit where credit's deserved and living up to his reputation.
Yeah, he is. You know, and he's one of the nicer guys too. He's just when he gets on the football field, he's a different guy. And this is going to be done. There was no whistle. And into the open is Robbie Abdullah, not done, and Abdullah takes it all the way down to the 30, to about the 24-yard line.
That's kind of a questionable call as far as I'm concerned, Barry.
Bucks with the ball at the 38-yard line of the Raiders. It'll comebacker that Copeland cannot hang on to.
Lossless pass, incomplete.
That's the face of a Raider, isn't it?
Oh, it certainly is. The face of a Neanderthal, kind of, but he's a guy who I talked to just prior to the game, and I said, you've already handled the ball more than the 2 years you were at Stanford. He says, yeah, you got a point there, and I'm enjoying every minute of it. He enjoys being out there playing with this Raider football team.
Do you know he has an envelope with brass from Jimi Hendrix's grave in his room at training camp?
Why doesn't that surprise me? Copeland goes to the far side this time. Carl Williams to the near side, out of the I formation. Steve Lee is now the fullback, and the running back is Robbie Abdullah. This is Abdullah. Bounces off a man, there he goes. At the 30, it's a foot race. 20, to the 10, to the 5. Touchdown, Bucks. Robbie Abdullah doing it all. Free agent from Lehigh.
Lehigh in Pennsylvania. When I was at the University of Bridgeport, we used to play against them. Wow, that was a good job, though, by him again of hitting up in the hole, nowhere to go, and then bouncing out to his left and finding the end zone. That's just called determination, but I'm sure Willie Shaw is not going to be very happy with the tackling on defense.
And a guy that size sometimes gets lost in a pile-up like that and is able to bounce out and scoot it and get that extra yardage.
Actually, truth be told, he's got some pretty good size. 6'1", 218.
That's what I meant.
Not bad. Coming into Tony Dungy had given him a very good chance of making the ball club. He said he'd been very impressive in camp. And I'd say with 84 yards picked up just on that drive, he might have assured himself a spot. We'll be back.
Plus, it's a great run.
Kick to about the 6-yard line. Rodney Williams on the return to the 20, hurdles a man, gets the 25-yard line. Raiders will start there. Been a night to forget so far for the Oakland Raiders.
Yeah, it certainly has been. They certainly haven't played as well as we thought they might after 2 real good wins over Dallas and Green Bay. But as we mentioned, we talked a little bit about it. They might be a little leg weary at this time of the season.
There you see what Rabi Abdullah did on that drive. A couple of carries for 80 yards.
But you know what, guys? You got to learn to deal with adversity and some negative things. And tonight, they'll learn how this team is going to respond.
Randy Jordan will be in at the halfback spot now for the Raiders. Williams stays in the game. Hollis throws for Kenny Shedd, caught at the 30. It's cracked. And might have lost the football, but I think they're going to say it was caused by the ground.
Yeah, and here's a chance for Kenny Shedd, who really hasn't played as much this preseason as he has the last 2 because of the emergence of Terry Mickens and Rodney Williams. So he's going to, hopefully get every opportunity to touch that football and do something with it.
Swarm again that time by the Tampa Bay defense. Number 98, James Kenyatta, defensive tackle. Right there, you see him coming into your picture. Runs out of nowhere and makes the play. I love that stuff as a defensive coach. That's great swarm, Barry.
He's another guy who's on the bubble. He's fighting it out with Jason for the probably the last spot.
Yeah, well, you know what? He burst the bubble in my mind. He ought to make this team.
Now Harris made that play defensively.
Yeah, and they're coming from everywhere. They're still bringing safeties this late in the game and with that big a lead. Or corners.
Yeah, Harris coming off the corner. He's another from Texas A&M Kingsville. They were saying, some of the Tampa Bay people, that they go to Texas A&M Kingsville to look at one guy, and then another guy pops up and impresses them. They bring him in as a free agent, and sure enough, he shows himself in camp, and that's happened time and again.
It's called good scouting.
Williams comes in motion this time on 3rd down. Hollis straight back. Blitz comes again. Hollis throws. Caught by Williams. Brilliant catch as Williams gets it to the 48-yard line. What a catch by Rodney.
You know what? He always comes up with a big play. Jim and I were at practice the other day with Mr. Davis watching practice. The guy makes circus catches all the time.
Watch the shot by Belisari here.
Right, it was not only a great catch by Rodney Williams, but there was extreme duress on Donald Hollis that time, and he was able to throw it. Not really, but got it in a position where Rodney could come up with that great catch.
That's called great ball reaction and concentration.
So Rodney Williams, I think, has virtually assured himself a spot on his football team. He's an older rookie. He's 25 years old. Throw over the middle, caught by Williams this time, and Williams gets it to the 45. It'll be a gain of about 3 yards on the play.
But you're right, Donald Hollis has moved this ball club pretty well in the 3 preseason games as he's doing tonight, but tonight unable to get in the end zone.
Well, part of it is the Tampa Bay Bucs defense. I mean, they're very, very good on defense. And quite frankly, after seeing them against Miami last week, I didn't think they were as good as they were built up to be. But seeing him here in person tonight, Barry, I'm impressed.
Tell you what I'm impressed with as far as Tampa Bay is their depth. And I think in the National Football League these days, a lot of teams really are only 1 deep because they're spending all their money on free agents. Here's a safety blitz. Pass is caught this time. Going to be short of the 1st down, however. Rodney Williams made another tough catch in traffic.
But this has been a real good test for the Raiders, showing they still have a long ways to go to be a contender in this division here.
Well, you're going to see a great tackle here by Brian Kelly, the 2nd-round draft choice out of USC. That's what you call a sure, safe tackle by a corner.
Plus, it was a good read by Hollis to save. Got rid of the ball quickly.
Absolutely.
And Williams doing what you talked about before, Plunk, knowing where the down yards were. and got enough for the first down. This pass underneath for Jermaine Williams, dropped by Brian Kelly.
Yeah, I think that's so important. You know, you get the first down yardage. You've got to do that, otherwise you ball up. You give the other team an opportunity to put some points on the board. There's just no excuse for not getting enough yardage when it's only a few yards down the field.
Into 3, it's going to be 2nd and 7 now. But I do like the depth of Tampa Bay. I mean, they're 2 or 3 deep, as are the Raiders, but Tampa Bay still winning the battle. Thomas throwing deep, got Kenny Shedd, touchdown Raiders.
Well, that's what you want out of Kenny Shedd. You want him to be a deep threat, but you also want him to be a post threat, which is exactly what happened there.
You know, he read the defensive secondary perfectly. It was a double zone of some kind, and he split the two safeties right up the middle, read it correctly. Donald Hollis read it correctly, did the right job, and delivered right on the mark.
And good protection up front that time by that young offensive line. And Hollis sees Shedd right in the middle. And you know what's great? Shedd made the catch. It's easy to drop those passes like that.
Kenny Shedd is a tough guy.
And he's a great special teams guy, too.
Very bright guy.
Yeah,
real high character guy, and gets himself a touchdown. Might be too little too late.
On a skinny post pattern.
Greg Davis hits the kickoff, high end over end. Lionel Anthony at the 5. 10, 15, 20. Heads for the outside, 25-30. And out of bounds about the 33-yard line. Run out by Louis Riddick.
You know, another thing you can say about this game, though, just like a few weeks ago when Kansas City got blown out by Minnesota 34-0, you know, these kinds of games tend to happen during the preseason and even during the regular season, yet teams bounce back. And I have a strong feeling that this team will do exactly that, bounce back and play much better football.
Yeah, I think your point was well taken when you talked about they were flat in practice, and they certainly came out flat tonight, too. Again, I go back to the pass that was dropped by Jet about midway through the first quarter, and I think that really was that was a play that could have lifted the Raiders or flattened about worse, and I think it did the latter.
Right, I think you're absolutely correct.
Good job that time, Barry, by the of the Oakland Raider defense. And there's a couple guys in there, 98, Chuck Osborne, that really are full-speed players that are trying to make this football team, and I think will make this football team. Guys like James Harris, guys like Vince Amy, all guys that this guy, John Gruden, really likes as young, full-speed players.
Well, Steve Walsh is yet to complete a pass, despite the fact that his team has a touchdown. There's the guy from northern Iowa, Kenny Shedd.
Little guy, 165 pounds.
Little guy with a big ticker. This is McElroy trying to run away from people, and does. 30, 35, 40, 45 to the 48-yard line. Albert Lewis making the stop.
You know, McElroy's an interesting guy because, as you said before, he's a free agent from the Arizona Cardinals, and he was a second-round draft choice that just never got off the ground down in Phoenix. And again, a change of scenery sometimes does a player good, and I think this is a guy who fits into that category.
Another guy who came out of college as a junior who probably would have been better served to play his senior year.
Talked to R.C. Slocum about that this summer. He said exactly the same thing, Barry.
Rob Thomas comes to the near side, this time Copeland to the far side on first down. Bucks able to run the ball pretty well, and this time they might have used too much clock.
Delay game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
Artie, you were talking about the crowd and what a great crowd this is. You know, the only bad thing about it, it could be a lot larger crowd. You know, we went to Dallas, went to Green Bay, Wisconsin, and you know they were sold out to 60,000 people plus, and unfortunately, you know, not the case here in the Oakland Coliseum. And this team is going to be an exciting team, a fun team to watch, and hopefully more and more people will come out and support this ball club.
Possibly a little bit more competition for the entertainment dollar in Oakland than Green Bay.
no doubt about that.
And in El Paso.
And El Paso, that's right.
But you know what? I think, Jim, when these lawsuits get settled and the city and county of Oakland and the Raiders go to the negotiation tables, and I think it's clear the direction that the Raiders are going in. I think that'll help attendance. That's number one. And number two, yeah, like...
Second down 15 now after the delay of game penalty. Andrew Jordan comes in motion. And Walsh gives this time to McElroy again, and McElroy is going to be dropped for a loss on the play by Aaron Wallace.
Yeah, and Barry, Steve Walsh, he got hurt his hand the first preseason game, hasn't played since. He's getting in here, only had the opportunity to throw 2 passes, both to backs out of the backfield.
That was a good job this time by Aaron Wallace, number 59. Great job by Grady Jackson, getting up the field, number 90, turning the play back inside, and Wallace comes across and makes the play. I'll tell you, Wallace is fighting for a starting spot on this football team. He's really having a good camp.
Slot this time with Ellison a lone setback on third down and a whole bunch. Walsh straight back to pass, steps up, throws, comebacker is incomplete, well defended that time.
Kevin Franklin was a defender from Southern University. He's a guy that the coaches really like because, again, he's a free agent guy that they found and said, hey, this guy's got some skills. He's got some speed. Let's bring him to camp. And so far, I think he's really been a pleasant surprise to the secondary coach and the defensive coordinator of the Raiders, Tom Bresnahan and Willie Shaw.
So the Bucs will have to give it up. Barnhart to do the punting. This is a low end-over-end kick. Williams runs up, fair catch at the 30-yard line, and a flag drops. Well, I guess if you're going to make a whole bunch of mistakes, make them all in one game when it doesn't count.
Right, get them over with and go back to concentrating and getting back to work. I think they'll probably have a little bit lighter week coming up. They have a short week.
Shorter week,
playing
Invalid
Saturday.
fair catch signal. Number 17, the receiving team. 5-yard penalty. First down.
I don't know, call me a nut, Artie, but that looked pretty clear to me.
What's that, the penalty?
The fair catch signal.
Yes.
See if we can get a look at that when we come back. 7:35 left. Believe it. Gospel according to Artie. I'll buy it. This is Randy Jordan running to the right and picking up about 6 yards, maybe 7. Randy Jordan looks as though he might make this ball club.
Well, he's got a shot, but he's been a journeyman player in the NFL. He's from the University of North Carolina. He's got under 100 yards total rushing in his career. And again, he's bounced around a little bit. He might be the 6th back if he does make it. He's a solid special teams player.
So many times at this juncture is the difference between making the team and not.
Absolutely.
Second down 4. Hollis straight back in trouble. Down he goes. And the man who wrapped him up that time was number 78, Marcus Jones.
And sometimes that was just a case of holding onto the ball too long. They know they're going to throw the ball. They know they're going to put it down the field. And Donald was looking for a big play down the field, but he took a little bit too much time. He probably could have dumped it off to Jermaine Williams or someone, but he wanted a big play down the field.
And you know what happens when you step up into the pocket? The inside guy makes the tackle. And you see Rodney Williams here, number 17, get bounced around a little bit. Hey, throw the ball to me. I'm wide open. Not so fast, though.
It's easy for us.
That's right.
Hollis straight back again. Takes a deep drop. In trouble. And down he goes. Flag down. And that'll probably be all. James Canada, who's played absolutely brilliantly.
Yeah, he's from Reno, Nevada, Reno. And like I said, he's kind of an undersized guy, 6'2", 275. He's a rookie, but he's a small, quick guy that really gets up the field. Reminds me a lot of Reagan Upshaw, who's not playing tonight, who I coached at the University of California. But that's the kind of defensive lineman they like here with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Plus, that was a big stunt coming from the inside, going around to the outside, and then getting the angle on the blocker, making the sack.
Blocker was Mo Collins, and it continues to be a learning experience.
Oh, sure. He's got a lot to learn, and it's coming at him very quickly.
Hard to pick up those blitzes and stunts.
Argus out of his own end zone. Low snap, but he handles it nicely and drives this one, and that's going to drive Jacquez Green all the way back to the 33-yard line. Got a good screen. He's at midfield. 45 and steps out of bounds.
Douglas Green returns the kick from the 33-yard line.
Boy, is he dangerous. You know, they've got him down as a 4.3 guy. That's called blazing speed.
Well, Jaquez Green has proven it. He's had a couple of big ones tonight. His team leads by 27. The toughest division in the game.
Barry, I think it is the toughest division in all of football.
Milanovic is the quarterback now. Bootlegs and a throw behind the intended receiver, Bryce Hunter.
Now there's a situation where a kid wants to make an impression. I think he's looking for a little bit too much. He just wants to show him that, you know, he's got the ability to be the backup to Trent Dilfer, and, you know, that was probably not a wise choice to make down the field like that.
You know, speaking of him, coming into the game, he was responsible for 37 of the team's 56 points. Now, granted, most of it was in the second half in, quote, mop-up duty, but he has been very impressive so far this preseason.
And apparently has earned the number 2 spot. We will...
Plus, he's the backup punter.
That's right. Another guy who's highly recruited. They expected big things of him at Maryland, and he never quite lived up to the clippings.
But here's a guy, he's his 3rd year in the league. I think he sat out all 16 games last year, not activated, but had a big preseason this year. We saw a little bit of Steve Walsh. He was 0 for 6 or 7 throwing the football. You know, and unfortunately for him, you know, he might not be able to get another opportunity to regain that number 2 spot.
Yeah, this guy, to me, is clearly the number 2 guy. I mean, I don't think question about that. Do you, Barry?
I don't know. 3rd down and 5, and there are the numbers on Walsh, and those are numbers to forget. Even though his team did score while he was in there, but they did it on the ground. 2 big plays. Short drop and a slant caught by Hunter. That's going to be a 1st down at about the 30-yard line. Bryce Hunter out of Georgia in his 2nd year on the practice squad last year.
Kenyon Branscombe, number 46, comes up and makes the tackle. You know, he's an interesting story. He's from Beaverton, Oregon, where Anthony Newman, one of the starting safeties who's not playing tonight, is from. And when they were kids, Branscombe used to hang around with Newman because Newman's best friend was Branscombe's older brother. So they used to slap him around and not let him come play with them. But now Anthony's kind of taking him under his wing.
Like a soap opera.
Yeah.
Branscombe was a wide receiver at Oregon. Here's a give this time to Abdullah, and Abdullah, who scored a touchdown earlier in the ballgame and had 2 big runs, picks up a couple here, but he's headed toward 100 tonight.
You know, you talk about the Dallas Cowboys being America's team. Well, Tampa Bay is playing all 5 preseason games away, and then the first 2 regular season games away because their new stadium isn't quite done yet.
It's supposed to be pretty special. They bring Hall on the wing and now put him in motion. Milanovic back, throws and out, and slipping coming out of his break that time was Bryce Hunter. Another thing, just to add to your point about being on the road. Remember, this is cut down eve, as we said at the beginning of the program. They don't land in Tampa Bay until 7:30 tomorrow morning, and they got to make by noon.
Well, they're going to make them on the plane, believe me. But, you know, in those 7 games, they travel over 15,000 miles. Now, eventually they'll settle in and play at home, but, boy, that's tough on you as a coaching staff and a football team to travel that much. But they're winning, so that makes the traveling a little bit easier.
Makes it a lot easier, especially for that guy, Trent Dilfer, the man in the black cap there. He had a very good night tonight. Milanovic, short drop, throws tall, pulled down nicely by Marvin Marshall.
Hey, did you ever have him when he was a freshman?
Consider that the greatest victory ever at Fresno State.
Really?
Yep. Here's a give to Abdullah again, and Abdullah gets down to the 15-yard line. He picks up 4 more. He's got 95 yards now on the.
But, you know, usually, as they say, this cut down to 20 usually isn't that tough a decision. It's when you've got to get down to that next final cut.
Good look at the blocking here, but you're going to see Travian Smith, number 53, come into the screen. Now, Smith's a guy from the University of Oklahoma. that these coaches are very, very high on because he's a guy that's got great speed and natural talent. He just has to play the game a little bit more, especially at linebacker.
Sure, they'd love to keep him around in the practice squad, bulk him up a little bit. He's a little undersized. But as you said, great talent, great quickness. Give this time to Abdullah again. Cuts back inside the 10. He's over 100 yards.
And get on the winning side of that.
You know what, though? At least you get the good teams out of the way early. And I think the schedule gets easier as the season goes on.
Give this time to Abdullah again, right down the middle, down to the 2-yard line. That's the 10th play of this drive.
You know, Barry, another thing about the schedule, going back to that, they play the NFC East in the NFC. And guess who's from the NFC East? John Gruden. So he knows them. Now, here's some great power running this time by Abdullah. And I'll tell you, for a guy from Lehigh, Schmehigh, doesn't matter where that guy's from, he's a good football player that's going to make this football team.
Well, he'll come out now having already scored a touchdown. Might have stung his arm somehow. Look at those numbers.
I'm sure he stung a few other people's arms.
Yeah, he did. Give this time to McElroy. McElroy runs a slant, gets close, but didn't get in.
My man Travian Smith made the play again. He is an active football player. James Harris also in on the tackle. Going to see some great penetration that time by the Raiders. That was Myron Smith, number 58, getting up the field, and then Harris and Smith coming over and making the play.
Ball just inside the 1-yard line.
God, I like this guy, 58, Myron Smith. I really like him as a football player.
Abdullah back in the game, gets the call, the dive, and the touchdown. Raiders don't think so, but they say the ball crossed the plane of the goal line.
That guy can do it all, though. He's got some speed, good strength, you know, being able to break tackles, and he can get over the top as well.
Well, tonight he's certainly been more impressive than Leland McElroy, who was picked up, as we said, off the waiver wire. So Abdullah, based on tonight's performance, may not only make the team, but could move up on the depth chart. And as we said earlier, Tony Dungy was singing his praises coming into this game. You talked about scouting, Artie, and again, that really speaks to the scouting.
Well, he came in as a free agent. But you know what? He had a great career at Lehigh. He had over almost 4,000 rushing yards, scored 33 touchdowns. So he was kind of a workhorse at Lehigh also. And you know what's good about him, Barry? He's from New Jersey.
Oh, that's the best thing, right?
It's the best thing
but
about
somehow playing Lafayette and playing Bucknell may not quite be the same.
And Bridgeport,
thing.
yeah.
And Bridgeport, right.
But I just wonder if during the course of the season this Tampa Bay offense is going to get any better. Is Trent Dilfer going to return to his form of last year, where he wound up 30th in the league in passing? You know, it's hard to say. I think in this league, of course, you've got to play defense. You've got to play it well, but also, you know, you've got to put points on the board to win.
The one thing, though, Jim, he doesn't have to play great because the defense is good, the run game is good, special teams are good. If he can just be efficient to good, then I think they have a chance to be an outstanding football team. But he does not have to carry the weight of this football team on his back.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, you know, it's a situation where they're always going to get him the ball, not always. Generally, they're going to get on the ball in good field position.
A lot of times, but you know, I think there'll be a fall off on this football team. We'll wait and see.
They got to go beat Green Bay, though, guys. Remember this. Tampa Bay under Tony Dungy is 0-5 against the Green Bay Packers, and they've averaged only 8 points a game and only scored 4 touchdowns on offense in 5 games against the Packers.
The other thing I like about him, though, as Williams takes his kick, we'll talk about it in a moment, juggles it, comes back to 15, gets to 20, and about the 24-yard line. I think they're going to be a good red zone team because they're a power football team.
Yes, they are. But I think, you know, if you can neutralize that somehow with a good front line, you know, Dilfer's still got to come up with the big plays to help you win. And when they get in third and long situations, you know, Dilfer still has to prove himself that he can convert those. They weren't very good at third down conversions a year ago.
You know what, though, Jim, on the other side of the coin, though, this was a great measuring stick tonight for the Raiders. They faced a power running team, and now they have a lot more work to do, obviously, before the Kansas City game. But at least John Gruden's got a feeling for where his football team is.
Yeah.
And excuse me, Barry, but to confuse Mo Collins even more, now he's at tackle.
Here's Hollis straight back. Now he steps up. And now he throws. And Hervey can't hang on. Ed Hervey, USC, trying to make this football team. Al Harris defending.
Remember, you wanted to talk about Tim Brown and Ricky Dudley. Only one catch between them for 1 yard tonight.
Boy, what's Timmy now? That's 2 catches in preseason for 2 yards.
And Ricky Dudley one.
So that's 3 between them. And you know, I'll tell you, one of the administrators at the Raiders made this point to me the other day. Those guys had to catch some passes tonight to get themselves used to game combat, so to speak.
Hollis straight back. Throws underneath this time. It is caught for a short gain by Randy Jordan. Jordan might have gotten 5. Yeah, and I keep tossing around in my head that in its own way, admittedly, nobody likes to lose, even in a preseason game. And so that said, there's something in this for John Gruden, as Artie said, that as a barometer for where his team is. And plus, he can go back to his players and say, look, we're not as good as we seem to be. Now let's get down, let's polish things up. We got 2 until it really counts.
And you're right. That's why this game is a good indicator for the Raiders tonight.
Trips left set once again. Tampa Bay in a prevent defense. The dreaded prevent defense as Hervey picks up a bunch and gets it to the 46-yard line. And with that, the final gun. So not a night to remember for the Oakland Raiders. We'll put it in the category of aberration as John Gruden suffers a defeat for the first time as a head coach. And as we said, it doesn't really count right now. So where do you put this one, Artie?
Well, you go back to the drawing board tonight and tomorrow morning. You make your cuts. You decide who's going to be your special teams players, who is going to be a future Raider, whether they're great players now, who is going to develop into outstanding players, and then they go from there. But don't let this game put a cloud on the great preseason that they've had so far.
You know, and Barry, you have to go all the way back to 1976 before the Raiders were 3-0 during the preseason game, and they were a great football team then. So, you know, obviously they've got some improvements to make. Gruden's going to assess the situation, you know, talk about the, the cut down tomorrow, keep the players that they can help, and go from there.
Congratulations to Tony Dungy from Napoleon Kaufman. This was just a one-sided ball game. Tampa Bay winning every side of this football game, and much to the chagrin of the good fans of the Oakland Raiders, they come up way short tonight. 41-7 the final score, a decision that was really never much in doubt. The Raiders host the Phoenix Cardinal. That's coming up this Saturday. It's actually the Cardinals now, September 29th at 1 p.m. Be sure to watch the game. It'll be live on KCBS in LA, KJEO in Fresno, and tape delayed at 12:30 a.m. Sunday morning on KPIX in San Francisco. That's a wrap for us. For my partners, Artie Gigantino and Jim Plunkett, I'm Barry Tompkins. Once more, the final score, Tampa Bay 41, Oakland 7.